teachers. Да. Eu čuješ, Nixon? Hoćeš da zapjevamo nešto?
Чуєте? Жилет, не чуєш?
Да, sad je okej.
Окей. Кучел, ти чуєш?
Бачу на свій лаптоп, окей. Дечки, вас чуєте?
Da.
Čujete, okej. Okej, super. Iz nekog razloga smo laptopa ne radi. Okej, ajmo krenuti. Okej, should we start? Željko, Kušt, you can hear us, right? Oh yeah, you could reply if you unmute your mics. Okay, in theory you can hear us. Okay, great. Well, I think we can start with our 7th Infinum Android talks. Today we have four lectures, and who will be doing the first lecture?
I will be doing.
What? You're the first one. Okay. I suggest you start and yeah. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Ivan, and I work as an Android developer here at Infinum. I'll be talking to you about two topics today, about class, ViewDragHelper, and about memory profiling. We'll start with ViewDragHelper.
You should share your screen.
Oh, okay. Just I'll share my screen and we can start.
You're quite handsome, but yeah, I'll share my screen also on the overlay. Hopefully this works.
Okay, share.
Perhaps
Is this working now?
Yeah, you haven't shared your screen.
Yeah, I have.
You have? Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
But could you use the Apple TV also? Just connect to the Apple TV.
Just a second. Alt and.
You don't have display option.
No, I don't have display options, but
okay.
I have system first. And
okay, we'll use what we have. Left second row.
Second row.
Displays. Show mirror option.
Confirm.
Yeah, just turn on and turn on the show mirror options in the menu, so you have a shortcut, so you can always access it.
Okay, yeah. It's on.
Okay, great.
Okay, I hope you all see this presentation.
Yeah, they will.
So we'll start with the ViewDragHelper.
I think they see you. If I see you, they see you also.
Why can't you
haven't shared your screen? Maybe turn on the mirroring or
no, I set the screen share
this
and the entire screen.
Okay. And don't open presentation. Okay, now I see your screen.
No, it's my screen.
But don't open it.
Yeah,
okay, just full screen it like this.
Okay. And this is the wrong presentation. The right one is this. Okay. We'll start with the ViewDragHelper. This is a class in Android support library.
What?
Just a second, screen sharing just stopped working. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope it will work now.
Just on full screen. Don't touch anything. Okay.
No, it's not. It's not sharing anything on.
Disconnect from AirPlay. Disconnect from AirPlay.
Yeah, that's probably.
Just disconnect with the first option. Disconnect and close that, and I will share the screen. And you continue. We're losing too much time.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so what we'll first see what is ViewDragHelper, how to use it, and some simple example of it. So first, ViewDragHelper is a class in Android support v4 library. Not many people know about it, but it's used in, for example, YouTube application. It uses it to maximize video from a small box in corner to full screen. I'm sure that you saw that feature, and it really looks cool. And later, in an example application, we'll see how to do this. It's used for writing custom view groups. It means you have to have a class that extends a view group or any subclass of a view group. It offers useful operations for allowing users to drag views around the screen. So if you want to drag anything around the screen, you'll need to use ViewDragHelper. There are other options, of course, but ViewDragHelper is the simplest option. So in order to use it, you'll have to create a custom view by extending a view group. You'll have to create ViewDragHelper instance, implement ViewDragHelper callback, and make sure that ViewDragHelper handles all patch events, at least the ones that are concerned dragging around the screen, and add your custom view to XML file. It's not that complicated as it looks. So first, you need to create a custom view. Custom view, you have to extend linear layout, relative layout, or view group, anything you want. After that, you'll have to create a DragHelper instance. It has some parameters. It takes 3 parameters: the parent view to monitor, sensitivity, how sensitive should the dragging be. The default value is 1, and the greater the value is, the more sensitive the drag is. And you have to implement DragHelper callback. You'll see how it receives information and how it handles events. So, implementing ViewDragHelper callbacks. ViewDragHelper class has a inner class, which is ViewDragHelper callback, and you'll have to extend it and override some important methods. You actually have to override only one method in order to make the view drawable. That is this first method, tryCaptureView. This will return the view that user touched, the child view inside your view group. And if you return true, it will allow the user to drag that element. And that's it. Okay, I lied. I actually lied. You have to implement 2 more methods: clamp view position vertical and clamp view position horizontal. If you don't return anything in here, 0, if you return 0, it won't allow user to drag the view on the screen. First method, clamp view position vertical, will allow us to drag on the vertical axis. And the second one, on horizontal, it will allow the user to drag on the horizontal axis. If you don't want to set any bounds, you just return the value that came in through this method. In this case, we return the top and we return the left position. The fourth useful method, you don't need to implement this for real now, but it's good because it will tell you when the position of the view has changed. It will tell you the view which changed the position. It will tell you the left coordinate. It will tell you the top coordinate of the view, and it will tell you the change between how much the user dragged it around the screen.
Delta.
It will tell you delta, right? That's delta. And the fifth method, which is important, is on view release. Here you will know when the user released the view. And those are actually, there are 2 or 3 more callbacks, but they are not important, and you really don't need them. You need these 5 methods implemented. You'll have to make sure ViewDragHelper will handle touch events, but only for children. In my example, I only have children. I don't have any other element, and it will always intercept the touch events, and it will process them. And in order to use it, you have to add it in your XML layout. This is your custom view, which has implemented ViewDragHelper. And any view inside this car view will be draggable. If you add image view, relative layout, linear layout, it doesn't matter how much layout, how much children you add here, they will all be draggable if you return true in this method. You can always set, for example, you set here an image view and then relative layout. And if you return false here for relative layout will not be draggable. Only image view will be draggable. And we can go and see the example. Just a second. Okay, this is the example application. We'll start it and see what it does.
Could you use a bigger font? I think it's just.
I can zoom in.
You can use a gesture. Yeah.
Okay, but this is the important class. Okay, is it deployed? Okay. Not yet.
This Google Hangout slows down your computer.
Yeah. Okay, this standard view, it has a header and it has a footer, and this is the same thing that Google does at YouTube. You can minimize this view to right edge, bottom right edge, and you can expand it. And the same thing Google did with YouTube view. They used ViewDragHelper in order to do this. Now let's go quickly through the code.
Could you just show the XML files so we can perhaps get a better feeling what's
of course.
Infinum view, and after that show the code.
This is Infinum view.
Linear layout.
There's one linear layout. This one is draggable. It's a header layout. This layout is this, the Infinum image.
The Infinum logo.
The Infinum logo.
Okay.
And the second layout is the bottom layout, which also has an image view inside.
That's the Infinum everybody image.
That's the Infinum everybody image.
Okay, great. And all that is inside ViewDragHelper.
That's all inside a custom view.
Okay.
This view extends the view group.
Okay, so it's not. Okay, it's just a view group.
It's just the view. You can extend the linear layout.
Why did you have to extend that? Couldn't you use just?
Yeah, for some simple views, could we just use ViewDragHelper to extend to have our own?
No, you have to create your own implementation of custom view, because if you use linear layout, it will take over the touch events. But if you extend it, you can stop it from taking the touch events and tell ViewDragHelper when to take touch events and when not. This is the code on Infinum view of the Infinum view. You extend the view group, but you can extend actually anything that extends a view group. And this is the header and the bottom view. We have some normal constructors here, and we create an instance of ViewDragHelper. When we set this, it will monitor Infinum view. It will monitor the touch events on Infinum view. Okay, on finishing inflate, we find this by ID. This header layout and bottom layout. This is nothing. This is just a helper method. So it smoothly slides to. It actually does not work that well, but okay, it works good enough for now. ViewDragHelper also has a method, smooth slide view tool, which allows you to set it to, if the user left the view, if the user stopped dragging it, you can automatically animate it to certain position.
So you can
so you can do this. Doesn't work well, but this, so that you can do this.
And that's on click.
That's on quick drag actually. If you drag it slowly, it won't work every time. Oh, it works now because this is an emulator. It works on the real device. If you stop dragging it, it should automatically close it.
It should snap.
It should snap, right? It's something like snap. Yeah, it's like snap. Okay, and this is the most important class here. It's drag helper callback, and on touch view, this is what I was talking to you about. If the child view is a header view, we allow the user to drag it, because we don't allow the user to drag this view, the bottom view. The user cannot drag it. It can only drag the header view.
Okay, that's called capture view. If I see it correctly,
that's
capture view.
Try capture view, right? And we only
for the whole structure, you say what exactly is a capture view, and that reacts to drags.
So if we return true here, if only this was, if we return true, every view inside our custom view will be draggable. Even bottom view, images, everything will be draggable through inside Infinum view, right?
You're returning true
only if the user is dragging header view.
Okay.
So this is on position changed. You have to request a layout and set the scales of the header view. It's really nothing special. You'll here receive a changed view, and you can easily calculate the drag offset. When user releases the view, you'll have to settle the captured view. That's for the snapping. If it works, sometimes doesn't, but okay. You get the padding top and nothing really special. You can do anything you want here on view release. When the user releases the view, just do anything with the released view, with the child views. It's up to you. It's up to your implementation. This will return the vertical drag range. You'll have to calculate it by yourself. And this is the clamp view position vertical. This is we allow him here only to vertically drag the view. The user cannot drag the view horizontally, only vertically. If you return the top only here, only this which you receive from the method, it will allow you to go off screen. But if you calculate the padding and bounds, then you can stop him from going. So it can go only all the way to the top and only all the way to the bottom. But if we can also allow him to go over the screen.
Outside the screen.
Outside the screen. And this is a non-intercept touch event. we only return mdrag helper if he should intercept touch event. Also on touch event, mdrag helper will always process it. He'll return true or false. I think. Will this method? No, this method will not return. Should intercept touch event will return true or false if it should. And these methods are only custom implementation of this layout, so it's nothing related to ViewDragHelper.
Okay.
And that's actually all.
You questions?
You can also find in the resources, you can find a tutorial. I'm not sure, I went through it, it's good, but most of the things you'll need you'll find in reference on android.com. It's really, it has good explanations of methods and you'll figure out everything from there. So any questions about this?
Okay.
Is there an example for GitHub?
No, but I can post it if you want.
Sure.
I mean, this is nothing special.
Okay. Just probably most of that is probably copy and paste from ViewDragHelper callback support documents, right?
From support documents. No. This.
Okay, then
This was the code we used when we were testing this on one of our projects.
okay,
And
just post it to GitHub so the guys can inspect. Who's next?
I can do it again. Memory profiling.
Okay, but I suggest that we, I don't know, that Christian takes over and we can get back to you. Okay. So who shared the screen?
I did. I removed this screen
Okay,
share.
I suggest that. You should unmute yourself.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Okay, so my name is Christian. I'll be talking about Android Studio plugins, which is basically IntelliJ plugins. We'll go through basic Hello World example, and we'll kind of show you what we did to make our lives easier while publishing our APKs to our clients. I'll be basically switching between presentation and the code, same as Code did. And that's it. Basically, what you need is Java JDK 6. It's important that it is JDK 6, otherwise you will be able to code it. You will be able to test it in the virtual machine, but you won't be able to import it in Android Studio or any IntelliJ. It will show some weird errors. You will need IntelliJ Community Edition, which you can download from the link on the presentation. And it is best that you get a plugin for IntelliJ, which is UI Designer. It will make your life easier when creating layouts. So basically, we'll start by setting project SDK. First, when you install the IntelliJ Community Edition, you'll get some screen like this. Nothing will be configured. So to configure it, you should to configure the SDK, you should go configure, project defaults, project structure, and as your project SDK, you should select the app itself. You should choose IntelliJ Platform Plugin SDK, which will give you the options to choose IDEA app. This is the default SDK for creating plugins, and you will have to select Java JDK 6. Under the SDKs, you will then see 1.6 an idea if everything is correct, and just hit apply and close the dialog. You can then create new projects. Well, actually, when you are creating it, you have to choose Groovy. Otherwise, since Groovy is kind of a language which is used internally, name your project as you want, hit next, and hit finish to start the project. I created a sample project however for this occasion. You will see that project structure is kind of meta-inf with plugin XML and empty source directory in which you will put your Java classes, packages, etc. So for start, we can first set up our run configuration by clicking on the sign. You won't have any setup. So you just select plus and you just select plugin. After that, you name it as you want and leave the basic default as is. You can, if you want, increase memory size of JVM or do whatever you want would suit you. Mine is like this. So when you are testing it, you will just hit run. It will open a new window with your plugin inside. First we'll start off by creating configuration and settings. To implement the settings, you have to, well, for every window that you will use in your plugin, you have to register it in the as plugin extensions. That is done in the plugin XML, as I'll show you in a minute. You have to implement configurable interface, which will provide you with several methods, which you will have to implement. And we'll show you basically how to save your settings and notify the other components of your plugin with message bus. So our settings is here. I think I'll also have to zoom it in a bit. So we are implementing configurable interface. It gives us several options. This is several methods. This is getDisplayName. This is the name which will be shown in the preferences of IntelliJ under the settings. If you go here, preferences, it will be in this list. I'll show you later when we run the example. Help topic is something that will open up when you hit help. Create component is basically your settings window. This is where we are creating UI for settings and where we are doing all the alignments and labels and populating window.
How are you doing that? You're using Google JPanel, JLab?
Yeah, it's basically Swing. You have to create JPanel and add all the components inside. This is one way. Other way is to use UI Designer. Then you create a form and then bind it with the class.
Okay. And how do you map some values from from this component to something that you can access at a later point? If you're configuring something here,
well,
you probably want to enter a host name. Or
yeah. Well, usually, yeah, you instantiate it here. You put it as a field variables, and you can access it in any of the methods here. But if you are saving some values, then you have to use properties component and set value, which saves it to its internal preferences. Then you can access it through the same singleton.
It's in the
yeah, it's
okay.
Understood you. Under some key which you define previously. Okay, so after the UI is done, you can it will be rendered on the screen. Is modified method is I've set it to return always true. This is actually wrong. You have to return true only if something is changed. IntelliJ occasionally goes through it and checks and then enables or disables apply button on the settings screen. And when apply is hit, then there is a method which executes. So I've set here to save my preference and notify by message bus other components of the plugin. There is also a reset button which you can implement to clear the fields or to put it to the previous value which was saved before. And at the end, you have dispose your resources, where you can clear up your memory if you have some heavy load here. That's it about settings. We'll go about how to create a UI window with some plugin.
Can you show us how the settings look?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we went through that, so it would be good if we could see it.
Yeah, just a second to build it. Oh, I'm sorry. So hello world is here, and whatever we just hit apply and it will be saved inside IntelliJ.
Cool. Okay. Let's see what else we have.
Okay.
Another question.
Yeah.
What if I have
Could
JDK
you
1.7?
just talk towards his laptop because we have his mic?
Igor asked, what if he has JDK 1.7? Is it not compatible?
No. If you use any JDK which is not 1.6, you will get an error while importing the plugin inside the studio. I learned that the hard way, so. Okay.
Can we continue?
Yeah, okay. So we'll move on to creating a basic window with a single button. I used UI Designer here to create tool window. You have to also register tool window plugin extensions. Same as the settings, it's done in plugin XML under extensions. So, sorry. So for example, for settings, you'll have to define application configurable and give it the class which is implementing configurable interface. And for the plugin window, you'll have to register tool window with an ID. This will be shown as I don't know, as a terminal changes or to do wherever you define it. You have to define the anchor, so it's left, bottom, right. I don't think there is a top. Okay, never mind. And you have to, of course, give it a class which is implementing Window Tool Factory. So I did this by creating a GUI class. This is done like a new GUI form, which then creates XML and Java class, which is binding. So whatever you add by drag and drop, it automatically binds it to your class. So every component that we have JPanel, which you defined in the GUI, and we have JButton, which is also defined in the GUI. So we have to implement Tool Factory, and we'll implement settings change notifier interface, which gives us on settings change method. So whenever some setting is changed, applies hit, we will receive the notification, and we can do whatever we want.
The thing you mentioned on
Yeah.
settings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bus. Okay.
Yeah, the bus. To get the notification, we'll also have to register its topic. So our interface has defined topic, which we also specified in the settings. We created change topic settings, which then we can, get instance properties components, which we also have to define when we are posting it with message bus. So whoever registers to this topic will receive only this kind of notifications, which is kind of cool because you can separate different types of notifications to different components. So by creating, by implementing tool window factor, we will get one method. This is create tool window content, in which we will receive our project and our tool window. Now we have to create our content. We created the form in the GUI, and we have to create now and append our GUI to our content in tool window. So we are creating content factory service, and we are creating content from the component 4, which is jPanel, and jPanel is the root of our GUI. If you take a look in the GUI designer, on the left side you have components, which has jPanel root. We give it ID which we want. This is a field name, and this is how our property is called inside the class. So inside of Java class, we can then bind all our components with some action listeners. I don't know, change the titles properties. In this case, we are adding action listener, and we will show the notification in the event log of IntelliJ, grouped by.
Okay, now you just use default.
Yeah, properties. Yeah.
You're doing whatever you need, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I think we got the idea, right? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So.
I mean, you can go here wherever you need.
Yeah, this is basically.
Choose a build, whatever.
Yeah, this is basically just plain Java now.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we need to go any deeper into this, right? What do you say, guys? No. Yeah, I think we understood the idea.
Okay.
Can you just run it to see what you have?
Yeah. Okay, so at the bottom we have our hello world with click me button, and if we click it, it will post the notification which is visible at the top and in the event log, like hello world.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. Okay, so to build our plugin, it's pretty straightforward. You just have on the top. Sorry, this is build. You have build menu at the top, and you just click prepare plugin module, which will create zip file. That zip file you can upload to IntelliJ web, and it will be available to all users of IntelliJ through the plugins in the settings, or you can import it as a zip file and use it locally.
Okay, how are we currently importing it here? Using it as a zip file?
Yeah, using it as a zip file. It's just an example. Our showcase is Infinum Labs, which we're using in Android Studio. We built this as to deploy our APKs to our website, through which our clients have the access to test the application, test builds of their applications. And that's pretty much it. If there is any questions.
Okay. You guys are all using the last one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you are.
I used it twice.
No, but I will try it.
I tried it. Works.
You should try it.
It works.
You should.
In Infinum.
Yeah, it's kind of hardcore beta now. So.
Yeah, but if you find any problems, just talk to Christian and he'll fix it. Okay, I think we can now continue with your lecture. Just please use mute, Christian.
Yeah.
Just mute yourself and reduce the. And okay, I think we see your screen.
Okay, I can say
Just ask Kush if they can hear us.
Can you hear me? You need to refer to someone. Željko, do you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, he can hear me. So, oops, I need slides. So, hello guys, I'm Ivan, and I'll be talking about Android widgets. Recently, we had one client who demanded that we implement some widgets inside their app, and this was our first company widgets. So we would like to share experience about developing Android widgets. So what are widgets? Widgets are simply small app views that can be embedded in other applications. Mainly, when we talk about other applications, we think about home screen. That's the main application where other widgets run. Because of that, we have some limitations to the widgets which I will be talking about later. So basically, we develop Android widgets are app widget provider info, which is like configuration file for your widget. It's written in XML and needs to be saved in your resources directory under XML directory. So it looks something like this. You can configure your widget by adding attributes to app widget provider element and define size of your widget or update period and everything else you need for your widget. Another thing you need is app widget provider. This is basically a broadcast receiver which controls your widget, and I will show you an example project where you can see how this is implemented. View layout are layouts of typical Android application, but you need to implement it inside a remote views. And you can optionally add configuration activity, which will then be run after when widget is added on home screen. When you drag and drop it on
your menu, drop it.
Then the configuration activity is shown. You can configure your widget. I'll show you everything I made for little widgets. They're very simple, and I'll show you everything there is to about widgets. So this is app widget provider info. I showed you before. App widget provider is simply a broadcast receiver, and you'll need to override these methods so you can implement your own functions that controls your widget. Basically, on-enabled is called when a first instance of your widget is put on home screen. Same as on-disabled is called when all of the widget instances are deleted, and on-deleted only when one instance is deleted from home screen or removed. So you need to register your provider in Android manifest like this, and you can add your custom actions in intent filter, so you can broadcast any events you like to from your application or from any other application. And in metadata element, you need to add your app widget provider info, which is configuration of your widget. For creating layouts of widget, you need to use just these elements, because any other or any descendants of these elements are not supported, and you will not get right widget layout render on your home screen if you use any other element that's not listed here. This is pretty bad. I had a situation where I used a simple view to draw a line, and my widget was drawing some error layout and didn't show me any error messages or anything. Just rendered a layout that said the widget couldn't be loaded. And it's very hard to find these errors. So be very careful and use only these elements. Okay. Other limitations of widgets are using some gestures on home screen, because home screen reserves horizontal swipe for changing between screens and long touch for reordering your widgets. You can only use touch and vertical swipe to communicate with your widget. And one other limitation is that you can update your widget only in intervals that are higher than 30 minutes. This is because updating a widget is a very expensive task, and it is done even if your screen is off. So this would drain your battery if you would update every widget on your screen every 5 minutes. So that's just a precaution. Okay, if you choose to run a configuration activity before your widget is added on a screen, you need to add this activity to Android manifest like this. This top image shows you that you need to add intent filter action app widget configure, and you need to define this this activity in your app widget provider info, and you need to use a full package name. So you can't just write dot example app widget configure, but you need to use a full package name. And if you use configuration activity, the first on update of widget will not be called. So you need to update your widget from the activity. This is done very simple, and you need to follow these steps. First, you need to get app widget ID from the intent extra. And after that, you need to let your configuration activity perform some settings or configurations. And after user clicks OK in this case, or anything else, you need to create a layout and update your widget. And then you need to return a result, which needs to contain the same app widget ID that was sent to the activity at the beginning. And you need to set result OK and finish your activity. Then the widget will be shown on your home screen. Many of the things that you used in developing Android applications are a little bit different when you're developing widgets. So when you want to implement click handle, you need to implement it over pending intent, which runs activity or some service that, and inside of that activity or service you need to implement your function. This is one example where you put a click event on some button, and that click event will launch example activity. When you implement collections, you need to implement a remote view service, which will create remote views factory. And remote views factory is same as adapter for list view or grid view in standard Android applications. I'll show you this all in example project. This is the wrong presentation, so I'll show you the right one, and you'll see the GitHub link where I uploaded my example project. So no, I deleted. Here it is. So on this link you can clone or just view my example project. This is the code, and I'll show you first how the widget work. I created an Infinum clock, which basically
just to make a former didn't file.
Oh. Thank you, Omer. In implementation of this widget, you can see how you can update your widget every minute. So there is a catch. You can use Alert Manager, and you can see it better in the source file. But to show you how configuration activity works, I implemented the same clock with a theme chooser. So if you have maybe, all right, let's try this again. I think I know what was the problem. No, I put my laptop to sleep, and then Genymotion isn't working well.
Yeah, that can be the case. That's very often.
So I need to just run virtual machine again.
I actually cannot deploy applications if my computer comes from sleep. Genymotion, no. I cannot deploy them. I have to close the Genymotion and start it all over again. It started a month or two ago.
No, I didn't audit myself.
Okay, now it should work.
Could you just point back?
Yes,
Yeah, quick. So like
I'll explain this later.
Could you explain why that happened?
Because I didn't register an action boot completed in my Android manifest. So if I want my widget to be updated when a phone restarts, I need to add, I'll show you this. I need to add action here, boot completed. And now my
watching someone's talk or a blog post somewhere where he said that you should use boot completed, that you should use user present, if I'm correct. For that, you don't need to use you don't need the permission for that, and it gets triggered each time a user unlocks his phone.
Okay.
Or turns on the screen. So you could perhaps try that.
Yes.
If you don't need to use permission. Yeah, for that, that's
okay. We used on our project boot completed, and it worked.
Yeah, I believe it worked.
Yes.
I think you should check it out.
Okay. So let's see if
that will solve the problem that we saw, that there's the clock shows zeros.
And now you see configuration activity. If I choose light theme, the colors of clock would be white and with black letters. And if I choose dark theme,
How do you do that?
I implemented on-click event when I click widget to run configuration activity again.
Okay.
So it's pretty simple. You can check out on source. And I create two widgets with lists. To be precise, I implement one stack, which are our photos, and you can use vertical swipe to control the photo that is shown first. So this is whole Android theme. You can even resize this, but the photos won't resize, just the spacing between them. And one other cool widget is with adapter flipper view. I just wanted to test this. So adapter flipper view will change your photos or your layouts every now and then. The flipper time interval you can specify it in the layout. So no. So these are the widgets. You can check out implementations. I want to show you just, for example, stack widget service, which you need to implement for using some collections.
Sorry, can you just zoom in?
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Cots. I'll
make the light.
Is this better? So you need to create your remote view service, which only needs to override or implement on get view factory, and you need to return your remote views factory. Remote views factory is something like adapter. So you have functions like get count, get view add, and I only implemented the get count and get view add so that I can return images of our team members. So I put them in resource folder and just locally get them. If you have some heavy loading to do, you need to do this on in a method on dataset changed. So when factory is doing something like downloading images or anything from the internet, if it will last longer time, the user will be shown layout before the load started, or the loading layout you can specify in a method get loading view. If you do this in on create, you will pause your widget and probably crash your widget. So every heavy load functions do in on dataset change. And that is basically it. If you don't have any questions.
No. The watch is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really like it.
I can only show you maybe how remote views.
You were talking about this works on 4.x, right?
Yes, I forgot to say this. Collections work on 3.0 and up, but some functions are deprecated, so it's better to use them on 4.0 and higher. And another thing that is interesting, when you use remote views, for example this, you can't access your layout elements, but you need to use remote views functions like set remote adapter, or for example, like to set a text to a text view, you will do remote views dot set text view set text view text, and you need to add some text ID and text you want to add.
You can't reference the field.
You can't. Yes. You can't get the reference to that element and do whatever you want with them. So that's pretty much it.
Could you show us how you worked around the 30 minutes limit?
Okay, I can show you. I created a service that will update our widget, and inside this service I put things like I put everything I would usually put in on update, and in on update in Widget Provider I created alarm manager that I call every minute. So this alarm manager will call my service from this intent, and this service will run on start command, and in this method you update your widget. So this is not recommended because you will drain your battery, but if you have only one widget like this on your home screen, it would be okay. But if you put it, I don't know, 5 of these clocks, your battery will drain in, I don't know, 1 day. So that's it.
Okay. Do you have any more questions now? Okay, I think we can go to codes now. Just mute your mic. You don't need to take over the screen share. I think okay. I changed that we're using your stream, but you need to share your screen, and that's it. And the Christian is using the replay, so can mute. Okay, great.
Okay, great. Hi guys, I'm back, and I'll be talking about memory profiling. So, if you're Android, not just an Android, Java developer, you probably hate out-of-memory error. I mean, it's so frustrating, especially on older phones, and it can really take time to figure out what happens. And sometimes you just cannot find out why, so you have to use some kind of tools in order to find out where are the memory leaks and fix them. Luckily, Android gives us his internal tool called DDMS, Android debugging something. It's good, but we needed something since we were debugging the app over Wi-Fi, because the camera was connected to our phone, and we couldn't connect the phone to my laptop. And the problem is DDMS does not work very well with Wi-Fi debugging. Then when we realized that there's a MET, this memory analyzer, and it analyzes Java heap dumps. And this is great. This is a great tool, and it works very well. And I'll show you today how to use it, combined with the DDMS. So this is Android debugging tool perspective. You can start it from here. There's a button for that. Just a second. This is the right project. Android device monitor. After it starts, it doesn't look very nice. It actually looks very ugly, but it serves the purpose, and you can inspect the memory heaps, allocation trackers, and everything. You'll see it afterwards in our example. Actually, you'll see it right now in the example. Just let me see if it has started. Okay, it started. let's start our application. I hope I'll have enough room on my screen so that you see both the application and... Okay, great. So this is our application. We'll have to find our application by package name here. You can see this is co.infinum.talks memory profiling, and you'll have to enable heap updates. You enable the heap updates only for this application, and the updates will be shown only when the garbage collector starts. You can here cause the garbage collector, and as you can see, we only started the application. Our heap size is 3.7 megabytes, and we have allocated 3.5. And that's okay. Android will expand our heap when we need to allocate more memory. For example, if we load a bitmap, as you can see, we have allocated almost 70 megabytes of memory. Now we'll load another dummy array list, and Android really doesn't like that. As you can see, it's allocating more and more memory. And now, with only one bitmap and a dummy array list of some really small bitmaps, we have allocated 108 megabytes of memory. And this is awesome. You can go through your application. If you set, for example, recycle, you can immediately see that it deallocated the memory. But the heap size stayed the same, but it will shrink down in time. And if you recycle the array list, we're back to 3 megabytes we used. Now, as I said, you can also track allocations. I don't think this works with Genymotion. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. It's hard to know when will it start with. Okay, now it works, but it shows some kind of error. You can see all the allocated resources here. This is okay. You can see allocation size and where is allocated, and great. But we can do better. Math analyzes Java heap dumps. One thing that we need to be sure, we can create an Android heap dump from DDMS, but we'll need to convert it to Java heap dump because we won't be able to import it on in-memory analyzer tool. In order to use it, you already have it. It comes with your SDK kit, and it's called hproof. It's used to convert Android heap dumps to Java. It's very simple to use, and I'll show you. Afterwards, when we convert it, we can set this Java heap dump in memory analyzer tool. Now, this looks nicer. I mean, here in DDMS, we knew that there was a problem, that the heap was large and something. But in here, we already know that we have two problems. We don't have one problem, we have two problems. First, let's see how to export an Android heap dump. You have to press this button. It's dump hproof file. When you click it, you have to wait, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds. Don't do the same thing I did. Press this button, I don't know, 20 times. The first time, why aren't you working? Why aren't you working? And everything crashes. So just be patient. Oh, okay. And it works. We're going to save this hproof file in downloads. It doesn't matter, you can save it wherever you want. But this is not the hproof file I wanted. We have allocated 70 megabytes of memory, and that's only for because of loading this bitmap. I'll load dummy array list. so that you can see how to analyze the memory dumps in math. Okay, we'll have to be patient. It takes time. Okay, I think it will finish now. It already allocated almost 105 megabytes of memory. 108, 110. Okay, it's done. And we'll create a heap dump of this. You will see. I don't know, a few kilobytes. Yeah, it's nothing large. We'll open memory analyzer. As you can see, it has this pretty Eclipse icon. But the problem, this really bothers me. When you start it, okay, it's a nice icon, but then suddenly you'll see. Look at this. I mean, this is really awful. I mean, this looks like I'm on Windows XP, and really bad.
Thankfully, we're not doing this quite often.
Yeah, but okay, it's just an icon, but it really bothers me. Okay, I'll save this heap dump, and we'll need to convert it to Java heap dump. As you can see in our download, we have Android hproof. Just a second. Let me copy paste this. And it has converted it to Java hproof. You can call this is just a name. You can call it whatever you want. After that, you'll need to import it. You need to open it in memory analyzer. It will take some time to parse the heap dump and to analyze all the errors. It will give you a getting started result. You can see there's some kind of report. The first one, leak suspects report, is the most interesting. It will automatically check your heap dump for leak suspects and show them to you. Just let's do this. Okay, and we get, sorry guys, and we get this really nice report. Now we know that we have two problems, and first problem is is a class called myActivity. The second problem is happening in helper class. So he knows the memory analyzer tool will find out in which class you have a memory leak and what kind of memory leak is. If you click here on details, you'll see that in this is helper class, sorry. In myActivity, we have a bitmap of size of 71 megabytes. That's kind of a problem. It can usually be a problem. And if we check out the second, this is the first. Just a second. Where did the leak? Oh, okay, leak. The problem suspect 2. If we get to the details about it, we'll see that we have an error list which retains 40 megabytes of heap. And this is really, really great tool, and it really helps you a lot. It helped us reduce the memory usage of our application from 100 megabytes to 30 megabytes. It's really great. You can see every memory leak you have in your application. When you have a large application, there will be I can guarantee you 20 problems here, at least. He will show you each one, even if it takes out, I don't know, 5 megabytes of memory, it will show it to you, and sometimes he offers a solution. Okay, it's probably not the best solution, but it will help you figure out how to change that memory leak. Before we finish this, I just want to show you a difference. Difference between Picasso, image loading library, and universal image loader. Until we found out about math, let me just recycle those memory leaks. I always used Picasso for everything in the application, for loading all kinds of images. And the application that we tested this on really depends on images. It's full of images and the large ones. The thumbnails there are 1-2 megabytes, and the images, the full-scale images, are 5-6. And I thought that Picasso was great. But here's what happens when you load an image with Picasso. It allocates about 50 megabytes of memory. And if you go back, it will still retain it in his cache. And that's okay, because the next time you load the same image, it will load quicker and it will allocate the double of the memory, as you can see. But next time the garbage collector collects it, it will remove it from memory. It keeps only one in memory, but one instance in memory. If you use universal image loader, for the same image, it will take only 10 megabytes of image. So it will take 5 times less memory. And if you cache with image loader on disk, this reduces it to 2 megabytes. This is still in memory. If you use caching on this with image loader on lists, it won't work well. It will work very slow. But for example, for full-scale images, you can always cache it on disk, and it will only take 2 megabytes of memory. Or if you cache it in memory, it will take 10. It won't take 50 megabytes like Picasso. And actually, this was one of our greatest memory leaks, Picasso, that library. And that's actually all. With these two tools, you can easily detect and stop memory leaks. But you actually don't have to do it until it's necessary, until you know that something is wrong in the application and that the application is slow. And these are some references. Actually, there's no tutorial about this, not anything. You can go to eclipse.org/math. Everything you need to know about math is there. And everything you need to know about DDMS is on developer.android.com.
So you probably don't need to do this kind of optimizations until you don't know what to do else.
Yeah, when you hit the wall.
Last resort.
Yeah, that was actually our last resort. It actually turned out that we need to do it, but in 99% of cases you don't need to.
Okay. Do we have? We don't have anything. We don't have anything more to add, right?
No.
Okay. I think you can turn off the.
Will it work on your computer?
Can you hear me now? Kush, can you hear me? Blessed, can you hear me?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Can you hear me? You can't? Okay. Yeah, if you can't hear me. That's all, folks. Talk to you in a month. Bye, guys.